All right, Cheesers, welcome to the HRL MT series week. Wait, what the fuck? Oh, that wasn't the music I had queued up. I don't know how that happened. That was weird. But welcome to the HRL Mixed Train series week. Weeks 1 and 2 recap, doing these every 2 weeks, as we've been trying to do the last few seasons. So going through the first week here, we have Beluga Bay Speedway and Malvine RX. So obviously Oval and RX. Slaunch starting off hot, wins the heat, wins the race at Beluga Bay. That doesn't really tell the whole story. That race had quite a roller coaster ride for the finishing order to end up looking pretty similar to the starting order, funnily enough. But there was quite a roller coaster ride to get there. If you watch the race, you'll get what I mean. It doesn't tell the whole story, right? Just looking at the finishing results, it almost makes it look like, oh, was this a pretty boring train oval race? No. There was a lot of change-ups. A lot of those guys that started at the front went to the back and then just got back at the front late, and that's kind of why it, looked that way. But Slaunch ended up clutching up, getting the win. Vulcan second, Detail third. I ended up getting fourth, and Soul fifth, rounding out the top 5 on that one. Go to Malvine RX. So Slaunch took the win on this one too. Through, I think what really helped him on this one, I mean, obviously he had good speed, but I think the Joker strategy was really nice that he went for. He went for like a super early, like lap 1 Joker, and then did not take the other one. I think it was literally first and last lap was his Joker strategy. And it worked out really well. He went from like last to first, maybe making 1 on-track pass, maybe 2. I want to say, I feel like it wasn't that much doing that Joker strategy. So like, literally, he went into the Joker, having to pass everybody in the field and only ended up having to pass like 2. So it was just like a really well-executed strategy on top of having good pace, because it wouldn't have worked as well as it did if he wasn't, pretty fast too. So just good execution all around, takes the win. Hunter actually got second. That was a really big result from Hunter on the RX. Ended up being third. Camby fourth, and Detail fifth on that one. So for overall results, Slaunch obviously took the overall 34 points. Ended up taking second with 27, Detail third with 26, Vulcan fourth with 25, and Camby rounding out the top 5 with 24. All right, so we go into week 2. Going to week 2, pretty big field this time around. We have Zariba. I don't care, Roman. Sorry, I read the comment. I forgot. I'll be honest. That's actually the truth. But that one and canceled MX. So first pure terrain, first MX in week number 2, and the heats. Detail and I ended up taking the heats, and we ended up winning or getting 1-2 in the race for that one. Although it was a little back and forth in the beginning, and the top 4 got pretty close for a bit. It ended up being pretty well gapped towards the end, but there was a pretty good top 4 battle for those front spots for a little bit in the front half of the field. The rest of the field was pretty crazy. Like this race from the rest of the field's perspective was actually it was actually kind of a banger. It was fun to watch in the replay. But yeah, so Detail ended up taking the win. I got second, Roman third, Turkey fourth. That was a pretty big performance from Turkey and Squeezy showing up in this one, taking fifth with a really good drive through the field, especially on this track. It's hard to pass on this track. Canceled MX race number 2. Slaunch and Vulcan had really good starts. Detail had like a decent start, but ended up getting towards the front pretty early. And once he got to the front and got the lead, didn't really look back. Had a really strong win on this one. Slaunch ended up getting second. He kind of bounced around a little bit in all the top 4 positions, but it was able to clutch up the second place on the very last lap. Vulcan flirted with that second place position, but again, unfortunately, lost it to Slaunch at the very end. I took fourth after a bad, first lap incident, had to come all the way back. Got to the top 3, but wasn't able to finish there, unfortunately, so took fourth, and Roman fifth after having to claw his way through the back half of the field, and then have to really make up a ton of gains on iPod to get that last place to get him that top 5. So there you go. There's canceled MX. Overall results, Detail taking the overall win with 34 points. I ended up taking second with 28. Roman third with 26. Slaunch fourth with 24. And Squeezy running out the top 5, although in a tie with iPod, both taking 22 points there. So we go to the points. And Detail, obviously, Slaunch had the points lead after the first night, but Detail taken over the points lead after the second night. But still very closely contested between them. Only 2 points separating them. And then I'm not too far behind either of them. I'm 5 points off the lead. So You know, tight three-way battle right now between us three right there. And then Roman obviously was very competitive for that last season, and he's not too far off to start off the season, although he did have kind of a rough start. Obviously, that week 2 helped him out, as week 2 was much better. But that week 1, you know, not what we expected out of Roman. But he's still right there, 47 points in 4th. And then Vulcan 5th with 44. So Vulcan off to a really good start to try to maybe make the grand finals on points this time. And so that's a big storyline. Another one I want to give a shout out to, iPod. iPod and Vulcan are the 2 drivers in on points right now. Now, again, it's super early, but that's very impressive out of both of them. Vulcan, after having just like a rough last season, the fact like this is a really big turnaround for him early on. And then iPod after having not raced in a fucking decade. And he's kind of cooking. He hasn't gotten a top 5 yet, but he's like flirting with the top 5. He just got 2 top 6s. He got 6th in both races in week 2 in a bigger field, in a bit more competitive field. So that's impressive stuff out of iPod and out of Vulcan as well. So that'll be interesting. I think if these guys can keep it up and keep showing up, we could see a very, very competitive, you know, battle for those last spots in the grand final. It was pretty decent last season, but like looking at how this season looks right now, I think it could be even spicier if these guys can keep it up. Because look at this, you have Hunter in on wild card right now. Hunter's pretty far off of making it in on points. He's literally in on wild card. You have Soul out right now. That's kind of crazy. He's close, but you have Soul out and then can be in the wild card on points, but he's like right there. So yeah, that just looks like super competitive. And then for these guys that won't be showing up every week, I imagine, or we'll have to see if that ends up changing. Yo, Turkey, come on, man. Come on, man. But yeah, so we'll have to see how it goes for these guys. Like, are they going to be all fighting for the wild card spot? How are they going to mix that up? I don't know. But we're like just at the start here. It looks like it could be a much more competitive battle for that position, or for those positions this season, which is very, very exciting. And I hope that is the case. We're off to a really good points lead battle too. You know, we'll have to see, you know, how that evolves throughout the season, but we're off to a really good start there as well. And yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's good stuff out of the MT series 2 weeks in. Okay, so all the other advanced stuff, it's week 1 and 2. Like, we don't need to go into that. Let's just go right to the schedule. This recap does not need to be that long. Okay, so looking at the schedule, we do have a big shakeup. Because, you know, we started off first 2 weeks. We got 1 race in on each track type. Well, guess what? Week number 3, we're going right into a Triple Crown. There's 2 Triple Crowns on the season. The other one is in mid-November, so it's going to be quite a while until that one. But the first one is this week. So you definitely want to take a look at these tracks. You definitely want to, you know, try to get some prep going into this one. Especially because they're pretty difficult, especially Yosemite. I honestly think that might be one of the harder tracks, even for being an RX in the schedule, genuinely, out of Roman. That track's actually got a lot to it. So yeah, definitely would check that one out. Malakian Speedway, that one's going to be very interesting to watch. That's the terrain oval that I cooked up, and it's a reach one, and you're constantly turning. It's very, very small. And I'm curious to see how it races. I think it'll be interesting. And then Convolution, another pure terrain, but the first one on H4. I actually really like this one. I think this one's really fun, and there's some nice like low-key tech to it, but nothing too crazy. I think that one should be interesting. I don't know how to. I know I just said the same damn thing for a fucking track. But I don't know how to predict any of these, to be honest. Like, we have a Triple Crown, we have Reach and Halo 4 represented. And just like the differences in the types of tracks, they're very, very different within this Triple Crown. So it's really hard to predict. One prediction I will make, though, is I don't think a sweep will happen. That's the funny thing, right? Short Track Showdown, we went the whole thing, no sweeps. Well, look at that. 2 sweeps back to back. Start off the season. I don't think that'll happen. Not just because it's a Triple Crown, but just like looking at these tracks and the different games. And yeah, like I think 3 different winners. That's my prediction. I could be wrong, but I think 3 different winners. I think it'll be a really competitive battle for the overall and a really competitive battle for the moto win on each of these tracks. That is my prediction for this Triple Crown. I think we break that sweep tendency that we've had early on. Honestly, I think week 4 I think that'll probably continue. Looking at week 4 and week 5, I think that'll probably continue. The next time, actually, nah, never mind. Week 5 could have, my bad. Week 5 could have sweep potential, but week 4, week 6, like those as well, I think will be more competitive. But there you have it. I'm really looking forward to this week. We're off to a good start with the mixed terrain series, but I specifically really like the spread of tracks in this Triple Crown, and I think it'll be, and the fact that there's not going to be heats because it's a Triple Crown, like that's really going to spice up these races, and I'm really looking forward to them. I think they're going to be the craziest races so far, easily. That's what I'm expecting. So yeah, hope you guys are looking forward to it too, and also expect an important protocol cheese coming out hopefully the day after this one, with some pretty big stuff in it, or that might be saved for a different video, and the protocol cheese might just be its own thing. We'll see. I will say, though, if you missed the one on stream, don't be too worried. It's not a protocol cheese where it's like, you know, it's not going to be one where it's like super doom and gloom. It's actually quite the opposite. It's more so just talking about like the general state of the league. And honestly, I think a lot of it from my perspective is about the general state of Halo. But we obviously had some big announcements that happened before I even did that protocol cheese, or after I did that protocol cheese on the last day of the Halo World Championship. So yeah, obviously I didn't know about that when I recorded it, and that changes a lot because that's what a lot of mine was about. So yeah, definitely look forward to that. I did one on stream, but that completely changed everything, so I have to do another one. So I'm going to do another one. It's going to come out the day after this, and look forward to it. I think it'll be an interesting listen. I'm going to try to make it not as long as the stream tirade version. But even if it is pretty long, I think it'll be worth the listen. Because, I don't know, a lot of the stuff going on behind the scenes that you might not hear about, I think I'll go into a lot of that and a lot of, like, the thought process. And, you know, hopefully we can work together on finding a good plan forward for HRL. Because, you know, we're not Infinite's chalked, and we're not, I don't think we're getting a new Halo game to race on until 2026 at the earliest. My guess would be 27. But 26 is the very earliest. So, got a lot of stuff to think about. And really wanted to, you know, talk about that and get things figured out so we can, you know, be on the same page and really put on a good show for the next few years in the interim. All right, I'm starting to ramble, but at the same time, I think I nailed it. Hope you guys enjoyed the recap, and yeah, I really hope to see a lot of you at week 3. I really do like this lineup. I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of open slots in the rest of the schedule, so I don't know if I can say this early that it's my favorite week, but so far, probably, yeah, I really like this week. So GG's, hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you at week 3.